We're about 10 lines from the bottom of the page. V'chol shaloi higia liyedei midazu. We're learning about a Jew who is, it's being demanded of him, or more precisely, he's demanding of himself a level of Mesiras Nefesh in Avodah which is equal to a Yeshiv Kronis, who has a Yetzer Hara which is Ketaner Be'er HaMeyefer. And he may be a good Jew and serving Hashem, but the Alter Rebbe says, be humble in front of even that person and say to yourself, am I working as hard as he would need to work for him to be what Eibishter expects of him? Right? This is the syndrome of not being punished for not being Zusha, but Taka for not being Avraham Avinu. As long as one has not reached this level. To fight with his body, a war of this intensity, even though he is a Beinani and he doesn't need to work this hard. Nevertheless, he has not yet reached and touched to the level and to the measure of Milchamas the war of the Yetzer Hara, which is burning like a flaming fire. To be bent and broken for the fear of Hashem. In other words, if you're not working as hard as that other person would need to work to be a Beinani, you're not working hard enough. And when you have Timtum, you can beat yourself up for it. There's nothing wrong with you. You're a perfect Beinani. You don't even have bad dreams. But you're obviously something is not Peseda because you have Timtum. And as we discussed, you have Timtum. So something is not Peseda. And every Timtum is, as we discussed on Daf Lam Vav Amud Aleph, Asiba, Higasus Aklipa, Shemagbiya Atzma, Al Eir Kedushas Nefesh Lekistum, Aster Machashecha Eira. Every Timtum comes from Klipa. So you have to break it. And one of the things you're doing to break it is saying, am I working as hard as he would need to work? And the same is true in benching. Before he spoke about davening, now he's talking about benching. And the same is true of Bechasanen and mitzvahs, which also need to be done with kavanah. And certainly do a mitzvah, the mitzvah has to be done on Lishma. When it comes to the work of learning Teda, that Lil made Harbe, one must learn a lot more from his desire and his want. Then is his nature and his habit. By fighting this intense war with his body. And if you only learn a little bit more than your teva, it ain't enough. Even though in Tanya Perek Tezvav, the Alter Rebbe said, what makes you avodah? 101 times. The Alter Rebbe, 101 is like a nice. It makes you avodah, but it's not Muhammad Tzumakizu. A person who's lived more than his nature. Then in Perek Tezvav he was called avodah in Chachas Zogen. It's a small one. It has no measure in comparison. With the war of the Yetzer Hara, which is burning like fire. That if a person does one Aveda, notwithstanding that he has the Yetzer Hara, which is Be'er and Ketaner Be'er HaMeyefer, he's a Rosh Gomer. If he doesn't conquer the Yetzer Hara, to be bent and broken for the fear of Hashem. And you need, for Hashem, you need to look at yourself and ask yourself, am I working that hard? Because, what difference does it make if you're fighting not to do an Aveda? And how is it different if you're fighting to do a mitzvah saseh? Ha'akel, all of it. A mitzvah, Samelach HaKadosh, Yachad Yuchad Baruch, it's all the commandments of the King, the Holy One and only, blessed be He. V'chein sha'ara mitzvahs, the same is true of the remaining mitzvahs as well. Or befrat, and most particularly, when it comes to matters of money, like the work of giving tzedakah and so forth, and you get sakedesh. There's two madreges. There's Avedas Tzedakah, and then there's Maisa Tzedakah. It's Yud Beis. V'haya Maisa Tzedakah Shalom. V'Avedas Tzedakah Hashkeit V'Vetach Adelon. Maisa Tzedakah also is Ma'asid. You're forcing yourself. But Avedas Tzedakah is Mesiras Nefesh. So the Alter Rebbe uses the same lashon that he uses in against Akedah Yud Beis, Avedas Tzedakah. In other words, you're not fighting a small war, you're fighting a huge war. Okay? Similarly, you're staying away from Avedas. Each intelligent person can find. To find about himself, he's not staying away from evil completely. Bakal mikal kol, absolutely. B'makim, in those cases, shetzarech lemilchama atzuma, which would require such an intense war, ke'erech hana, like the measure that other guy needs to fight to be not called a Rosh Hashanah. So we don't do Avedis, but there's little tiny stuff, little tiny infractions, which you say, what's the big deal? Because over there we need a Muhammad Tzumah. Says the Alter Rebbe, this is your job. Even though it's not wrong, doesn't make you a Rosh, doesn't make you always Beinani, but if it's something which requires Muhammad Tzumah, this is your job. And he gives you examples. He gave, for example, to stop in the middle of a Geshmaka conversation, which is not an Aveda. When is Sicha No not an Aveda? If a person is not Mechuyev in Vagisa V'Yem V'Layla, if he's an Ama'oret, that we had in Tanya Perek Ches, that is called Dvorim B'Telim B'Heter. Or Sipa B'Gnus Chaveda, if he says something about his friend which is shameful, but it's not an Aveda, it's not Lashon Hara. V'Afilu Gnai Cotton V'Kalma Eid, it's a small and very light embarrassment. Avshahu Emes, first of all, it's true. V'Afilu Kedel Nakes Atzma, he's only saying it to clear his own name. Nevertheless, in this level of Muhammad Tzuma, it's wrong. As we all know the story, that Rab Shimon said to his father, Rabbeinu Kadosh Lav, Anok Kasve. Elihuda Chayota Kasve. There was a whole shaila about a document which was written, and there was a shaila if it was kosher or not. So Rabbeinu Kadosh asked his son, who wrote this? So he was trying to vindicate himself. He said, I didn't write it, he wrote it. Rabbeinu HaKadosh tells his son, Klach mi Lashon Hara, go away from Lashon Hara. What does the story tell? That even though he was trying to clear his own name, Bedakas dedakas, or to say it alternatively, on a level of Milchama Tzuma, you could stop yourself from doing this Lashon Hara, don't speak it. The same is true in many things. The Shchichitul, we find many things that you can improve, not with Milchama Ktana, which is called the Perek Tezvav Avadei, but with Milchama Tzuma. Especially about Iskafia, to sanctify yourself with minute things, which is Minatera. Which goes with the Pasuk says, Kseshim Tiyu V'Gema, you're commanded to be holy. V'Iskadishna V'Gema, we had it before in Perek Avchas, you have to act holy. And then Sefer Kodli Kodesh Muvdal B'Yemes. And therefore, you can find things to correct. If you want to do Muhammad Tzuma, you can always find things to fix. The biggest tzaddikim, the frumest yidden, can find things to improve. Begam Devei Sefer. If it's only midrabanan, because chamurim midrabanan because they're more strict in Devei Ela Navaden, Shakol, Ela, all such things, and similar things. Hey, Avedas go into a category of Avedas, Sha'adam Dash Ba'kev, the people trample with their feet. V'gam, also as a result, Nasa Geheter, you're so used to them that they become like a Davar Amuter. Machmas, Sha'avar, V'shana L'chulu, you did it again and again and again. So what's the big deal? So I said he did it. But the truth is, if he knows how to learn, and he holds on to the Eibishter's Teda. The kid, but he desires to be close to the Eibishter, like the Alter Rebbe, God lavenim in his faith. Even this tiny Aveda is considered too big to be tolerated. God love given the Gaflaim, and his sin is great, doubled and redoubled. From the fact, not that he has Avedas, but he's not fighting and defeating his Yetzirah. It's not enough that you're doing the right thing, you have to fight, and fight like a Muhammad Tzuma. Because the other guy has to fight Muhammad Tzuma, just so he shouldn't be called Rosh Hashanah. And if you're not fighting that hard, it's no good. Because you're a Talmud Chacham, you're a Yidei Sefer, and Machzik B'chiras Hashem, and so forth. Me'ashmas, it's much greater than the sin of Kalsha B'Kalam Yeshvei Kronis, the light person who sits on street corner and does actual Avedas, because he is he's far away from the Eibush and his Teir. Even though he's doing actual Avedas, which make him a Rosh Hashanah, his sin is not so great. By the virtue of the fact that he's not conquering Yetzirah. Which is burning like a fiery flame out of fear of the Eibush. That he knows that Hashem is Amev and Umabet is understanding and looking. El Kol Maseim, to all of his deeds. This guy is not sensitive to that. He's just a simple person. And even though his Aveda is tiny, it doesn't compare to Ashmas, like the sin of Kol HaKodev Alavaya, to one who's closer to Hashem. Ve'al Teirasa Avedasa, to the Teir of the Eivish and Aveda of the Eivish. Ukmeisha Amr Nazal Gabe Yachir, as the Gemara said about Elisha ben Avoya, that why was he punished so severely? Because Sheyada B'chveidi V'chuli, he knew the honor of Hashem. And the bigger a person is, the higher the expectation. And using this theory, a Beinani can say to himself, it's not enough that I fight good enough to be a Beinani, which could be a Muhammad Ktan, I have to have Muhammad Tzuma. The Gemara says about Amaratzim, it's just Dain, it's not like it's Shkogas, they're Avedas, they do on purpose, like I said, like accidents. Every time we do Chachamim, Shkogas, not like it's Dain, because the Eivish has a higher expectation. So what's Perek Lamed saying? It's not enough for you to use your koiches to be a Beinani, you have to work as hard as he would have to work. Muhammad Tzuma.